to the Italian Football Podcast.
I want to start with Belgium because they were, so many so-called experts were predicting them to get to the semi-final this tournament, which I thought was something of a joke at first, but they were actually dead serious. And for me, I was very, very confident from the start. And I said that I thought they were going to go out in the group stages, and that is what ended up happening. But obviously, the headlines were all about, and it's as related to Serie A, all about Romelu Lukaku, who I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a game where a player has missed so many open goals. I mean, they were real sitters. They weren't half chances. They were, some of them, unmissable chances, pretty much. I've never seen it. It was just so Lukaku. It had to happen to him. And the poor guy has been absolutely slaughtered since then. Including in the Ghanaian Parliament, which has become like
so funny. The Maguire and Lukaku banter when they're talking about the budget is so funny.
Yeah, it is hilarious. But you know, I'd like to look at how two parts to this. First of all, how does Romelu Lukaku's latest performance affect his legacy? Because for me, you look at his numbers as a whole, and he's the top scorer in the history of the Belgium national team. 68 goals in 104 games. He's got over 300 career goals for club and country. I mean, these are absolutely incredible numbers. There's very few players really in the history of the game that have hit over 300 career goals, and he's obviously still 29, so he could still add to that. But on the very highest level for club and country, he's always fallen short. And then for club level, we know, we've spoken about it at depth, he failed at Man United, he failed at Chelsea twice. Brilliant for Everton, brilliant for Inter under Conte, but obviously we're talking about a Serie A level now. But for Belgium, incredible in qualifying and friendlies, but his performance at major tournaments has been, if we look at them as a whole, not bad, but decent at best. Certainly not that of a great player. And he's played at 5 major tournaments for Belgium, and he scored 1 goal at the World Cup 2014. He scored in 1 game at Euro 2016 versus Ireland. He scored 4 in the 2018 World Cup, but they were all in the group stages. He scored 4 in Euro 2020, but 3 are in the group stages, and then just a penalty versus Italy. And then obviously Euro 2022 was a complete disaster for him. And he's had some really high profile clangers that have cost Belgium in key games during these tournaments. He missed 2 absolute sitters against Italy at both Euros, 2016 and 2020. And then obviously the sitters, the open goals, virtual open goals the other night. Does this just kind of sum up the story of Lukaku's career?
I don't think it sums up his career. I think it sums up the curse of the Inter striker in this World Cup. Lautaro Martinez has not had exactly a lucky start to this tournament either. And look, even though those situations are very, very different, focusing on Lukaku, we know that from his career previously that he is the kind of player that needs 5-6 games before he hits the ground running, and then he scores in clusters. Then he goes on these 5, 6, 7, 8 game runs where he scores 1-2 goals every single game. In a fickle tournament like the World Cup, where it's very short, it's only 7 games between the first group stage game and the final, you don't really have that much room to maneuver. And I think Lukaku, given where Belgium was he almost became like a symbol of that Belgium side, a little bit out of form, a little bit past their best, a little bit not in form, all of that at once. And they were sitters, there's no doubt about it. But same thing with Lautaro, I think, in the sense that, just, the 2 goals against Saudi Arabia taken off for offside. Just think about it. He got into that tournament, those goals would have been, they'd been onside. his confidence levels are flying. They don't lose that first game. He doesn't, he starts second guessing himself. I think a lot of the times in these short tournaments, it's those tiny, tiny little details that decide it. And that's also true about Romelu Lukaku. I don't think it affects his legacy at the World Cup or for Belgium at all. I mean, he's shown over the years who he is, but I think it does show that his generation in Belgium is they're over now. It's finished. It's time for Belgium to find new players and new talents to build around. And maybe it's a shame that for Lukaku that he never really got that like bullseye moment internationally. I mean, if we're perfectly honest, he's kind of lacked that in his career as well, except for those 2 years at Inter, where he won a Scudetto.